this young man in here went into a park and he saw Qigong for the first time. And
that's good to know.
even though he said to me, I didn't have a job, I was in a town that I didn't know much about because I was far away from my place of birth. He said, I practiced a little bit, and even though I didn't understand because masters don't really talk very much, I felt so happy. I felt so very happy. And you know, that's when I knew that this is my brother. Because that feeling of inner happiness you have in the presence of life force or Qi is a sensation that you all should experience at some point. You know, it is being in touch with life itself, and when this happens, you're happy. And happiness is exactly the proof, the reason why we're doing all this. You know, so we start saying, what is this happy thing that happens into you? Where is it coming from? And I'm not going to tell you, that is subject for meditation. So, that was many years ago, so by now he is Master Jianshe. You know, master means that he did a few things in between, from practicing a little bit in the park. And probably the thing that was most, affected his life the most was meeting, Dr. Pang. Dr. Pang, you know, we have to, this wouldn't happen if it wasn't for him. So we have to, just like Edgar Casey, he's Dr. Pang. Dr. Pang is alive. He's about 75. And he's an extraordinary being. If you look on YouTube for Dr. Pang Ming, you're going to see him. Most of the stuff is in Chinese, so if you know Mandarin, it's very good. If you don't, just to make it up. Very clean man. He's a medical doctor and a high-end Qigong master. He apprentices about 18 masters of various traditions, some very esoteric. He was very lucky. He had access to them. In China at the time, it was a little opening. So he was able to study with them. And then he's smarter than average. He was able to be creative about this. Some people go into one system, practice a system for a lifetime, and then they pass on that system. Very few people are syncretic, so they pluck the best of the best, which is something that we do in the States. We like to hold on to what is best, fast. Look how many pizza toppings we have. So all Qigong masters come in here, but occasionally something like this, some special thing like this happens. So Dr. Pang took everything that he understood was the best and the simplest, and he put it together in a very, very efficient system. This system he put into action, into a Qigong hospital, which he didn't call a hospital, it was like an academy actually. Everyone in the place was a student. And that's probably his genius, because he made this work in China. That is real genius. If you open an academy in here and you have some money and stuff, it's not as much genius as opening up a Qigong academy in China. Because you have, a very oppressive government, a government that is very tight on people, and they only give you little windows, If you make a gathering of people, you have to apply at the, central office, like, you're going to have people gathering, and then what are you going to talk about, and is this Qigong, what is this Qigong stuff, Does it, So he did it. Actually, this hospital was open for maybe, 5, 6 years? 11 years. Well, I apologize, 11 years. Now, we in the West found out through a couple of documentaries. I saw one made by a Chinese guy, one made by an American guy. Those documentaries circulated around. Hello, have a seat, find yourself a seat. There are some over there by the door also. We like you people to be seated because, it's much better than standing up. Even though we're going to stand up in a little bit. And Dr. Pang in this compound of his, but it was a compound, people lived there. he brought everybody. Everybody was staying there for about 2 months. Some people stayed a lot longer, like Master Jianshe. He went to stay there all the time. He became a teacher over there, and he had the privilege of studying with this man. Now, the Qigong that they taught him there is actually very simple. You're not going to see a lot of movements, not going up and down a lot. Yes, you do go up and down facing the wall, and you're going to see the movements of the hands are like trembling, also sort of like the ballerinas in Swan Lake. But it's not for artistic purpose. It is because the force of life will be directed in a felt way to a point that you're actually going to feel this piano playing or whatever name you want to give it. I suggest that you look at a fish coming out of an egg. You know, when they come out of an egg, and then you see those stirrings of life. And when you look at that, you have a little impression of what the natural movement of Qigong is. You know, look at a bird coming out of an egg, you know, and working its way out, because this is what you're going to be doing. And he was very effective, Dr. Pang. He treated probably somewhere in between 450, maybe 500,000 people over the 10 years, 11 years.
Sometimes 1 month can be 80,000 people, only 1 month.
1 month, 80,000.
You know, so many Chinese.
You know, so statistics that we have are all word of mouth, anecdotal evidence, somewhere about 80% success, sometimes more. But what was extraordinary is certain conditions that you have no cure were cured over there. And the most famous clip we have is the one where you know, 3 Qigong masters dissolve urinary bladder tumor in real time. Now, the interesting thing is that you see on the frame those 2 little screens. You could see even now if you go online. And then the tumor, while those guys pump, they say something that means dissolve, disappear, dissolve, disappear. I don't remember exactly the Chinese words, but
San, disappear, disappear, disappear.
Disappear. And they say it in unison, and there is something that you don't see in that clip that Master Jianshe is going to talk today about, and that is the group field. You know, and I'm pointing it to you because otherwise you're going to spend 10 years, you're going to do this, and you're not going to know about it. That's the most important thing. There is a group field created, like you said, a lot of Chinese people, right? But they succeeded in doing something we don't. We're very good individuals. We're very poor at group field. So we're here to learn about group field. The power of the group field. When we get together, there is something developing that can be harnessed. And when this group field keeps going and gets on going, and it becomes permanent, then miracles are everyday miracles. There is in those documentary clips long lines of people on wheelchairs. Master Pang is over there in the beginning. He's got a few students right and left. This was one of them. And then people go, and then he goes and he taps them in the head a little bit. And then you see them shiver a little bit because the force of the qi is powerful. And then they get up because you hear the people around chanting. Come on, you can do it, you can do it. And that force gets into people. And at some point you see them getting up and walking, you know, and leave behind the wheelchair. And as they go through the gauntlet of people, people give them qi a little more, a little bit here. And then you see that they're synergetic. They know where they have to give it. They feel that. So they give it to the head, they give it to the dantian, they give it to the back. By the time the person goes maybe 200, 300 feet, they're much better than when they started. And that's a miracle. All right, I don't know a hospital today that a physical therapist will put you up like this, and then by the time you make 150 feet, you're going to walk away. Now, we don't know how long it lasts. That's a good question. But we know that if you sustain that for 2 months, the way they did it, a lot of miracles happen. Right? Now, to a sad note, in the year 2000, because of the Falun Gong movement that was considered dangerous by the Chinese government, they shut down all Qigong activities. And this story, Master Jianshe shared with me yesterday, so you're private. This does not exist in newspaper, it's not on the internet, it's only here at the Edgar Casey Center. What happened is that they shut down the hospital or the institution as it was about to bloom. They started actually building a new center. 4 months into doing that, they shut it down. Master Pang is something that probably would call house arrest. Not exactly, he could walk around, he writes books, but he can't practice. He gives a lecture once in a while, people applaud. He's a wise man and so on. Now, the movement would have died then, but if it wasn't for those guys, because just as you shut down the head, they spidered. And they all had in their soul something they experienced in this place. And I hope that by the end of tonight, you're going to get a whiff of it. What they carried into their souls is the possibility of working in a place where people get together and they create this group field and they're respectful of it, and because they maintain it through their daily activity, like you water a plant every day, they create a place where healing can occur. It was one of those rare places on earth. Maybe John of God's today, maybe Reverend Orbito's in the Philippines, or maybe us here, if we have the stamina, the endurance, the perseverance, and the heart to do. So without further ado, I will let Master Jianshe tell us his story.
First, please forgive my English.